Listen, if you've got a little one under 5 in your life, a child, a grandchild, a niece, or nephew, then you're going to want to pay close attention. We're going to talk about how to turn your home from a place of hidden dangers into a true safe haven. And it all starts with a simple question.
Okay, so take a second and really think about this. What comes to mind? A busy playground, maybe? A crowded mall? Where do you think the single most dangerous place for a young child actually is?
And you know what? The answer? It surprises almost everyone. It's their own home. Yeah, that's where the vast majority of preventable injuries happen. I know, that sounds terrifying. But here's the good news. Almost all of these risks are things you can fix with a few simple, really smart changes.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle the big elements, fire and water. Then we'll get into preventing falls and bumps, the constant stuff. After that, we are going to uncover those hazards that are hiding in plain sight. And finally, we'll land on the one single rule that is more important than all the others put together.
Okay, let's dive right in with the big two, fire and water. These are things that bring us comfort in our homes, right? But for a curious kid, they can become a serious, immediate danger.
What's amazing about this stuff is just how simple it is, but how life-changing it can be. Turning pot handles inward on the stove, that one little move completely foils a toddler's instinct to just reach up and grab. Keeping your hot coffee away from the edge of the counter. It seems so obvious, but in that one moment you're distracted, it's everything. And never, ever carry a child while you're cooking. It's all about building these tiny habits that make a massive, massive difference.
Okay, let's talk about water. And I really can't stress this next point enough. You know how in the movies people are splashing and yelling? Drowning isn't like that. It's completely silent, and it is incredibly fast. It can happen in just an inch or two of water. This one, it's a hard and fast rule, no exceptions. Turning around just for a second to grab a towel is way, way too long. And look, we're not just talking about the obvious stuff like pools or bathtubs. A bucket you left outside to catch rainwater, a mop bucket in the kitchen. Those are just as dangerous. The rule is simple. If there's water, an adult's eyes are always on the child, period.
All right, moving on. Let's tackle the #1 cause of injury for little kids. Falls. I mean, the second they start moving, the whole world becomes this amazing jungle gym of things to climb on, pull up on, and, fall off of.
Look, the goal here isn't to bubble wrap your kid. It's to make their world a safer place to explore. So gates at the top and bottom of the stairs, that's a must. Keeping floors clear isn't just about being tidy, it's about getting rid of the little tripwires for their unsteady feet. And please remember, a big, soft bed can seem perfectly safe, but it can become a dangerous place in the blink of an eye.
But the thing is, their world isn't just inside, right? The dangers don't just stop at the front door. Inside, we're worried about gravity. Once you step outside, you've got a whole new problem: motion.
And guess what? The same simple rules apply once you step outside. A kid's impulse control is 0. They just don't get the danger of cars yet. So holding their hand tightly when you're near a road is your absolute best defense. And just like stair gates inside, creating some kind of physical barrier or just distance between their play area and traffic is a fundamental layer of safety.
Okay, let's get into the sneaky stuff. The dangers that are literally hiding in plain sight. These are the things that a child's natural curiosity will actually pull them towards.
This is where you really have to put on your toddler goggles and see the world like they do. To them, that colorful little laundry pod, that looks like a piece of candy, no question. That blue cleaning fluid you put in an old water bottle, that looks delicious. They explore their world with their senses, and that includes taste. We just can't expect them to know the difference. So, what's the solution? It has to be physical. It has to be absolute. All of your medicines, all of your chemicals, they have to be in locked cabinets. A high shelf is not enough for a kid who can climb. The same logic works for choking. Here's a fantastic little trick. If something can fit through a toilet paper roll, it's a choking hazard. That goes for food too. Cutting things like grapes and hot dogs lengthwise into little pieces is a habit that can literally save a life.
And of course, we've got to talk about electricity. Outlet covers are so cheap and so easy to pop in. And make sure cords from lamps or TVs are tucked away and secured, so a child can't pull a heavy object down on themselves or worse, chew on a live wire. So we've talked about gates, we've talked about locks and covers, we've talked about moving things out of the way, but all of those physical fixes, they're just one part of the puzzle. Think of them as your backup plan. They are not the main event.
Which brings us to the big one, the most critical piece of this entire puzzle. After all the childproofing, after all the prep, what's the one thing that stops more injuries than anything else?
It is simply supervision. And I don't just mean being in the same room. We're talking about active, focused, uninterrupted watching. It means you're not lost in your phone, you're not deep in a conversation. It means your attention is on them, ready to step in.
There's a line from the material we reviewed that it hits the nail on the head. It's in those tiny little gaps of attention, that single moment. That's when almost all of these accidents happen. Your presence, your attention, that is the most powerful safety tool you will ever have.
So at the end of the day, making your home safe isn't some huge, expensive project. It really just comes down to a bunch of small, smart habits. When you combine those physical barriers with that active supervision, you are creating these powerful, powerful layers of protection for the kids you love.
And that's where we'll wrap up. But I want to leave you with this one question. After everything we've just talked about, what is one small, easy change you can make in your home, like right now? Because that one little thing, it really could make all the difference.